Or maybe we're saying let's talk sausage tonight. I don't know. That's weird for three guys.
It's okay though. It's okay.
Oh man! So I am here tonight with Jeremy Scheffler, a good friend of mine, and Jason Callahan, and they own Peabody Sausage House, and they take care of hundreds of deer a year. And I thought it'd be great if you guys came and talked a little bit about that, maybe some of your recipes and.
Ooh, we can't talk about those recipes.
What? Yeah, they're secret, aren't they?
Secret recipes.
So anyway, I thought, what a great time. You know, we've got about 30 minutes before the Chiefs game starts, and I figure that's when we just lose everyone. So we should get in it.
All right, let's go.
Well, you guys want to tell us a little bit about your backgrounds and kind of how you got started in it and what makes you pro butchers?
I wouldn't say pro.
Triple A. You're pro. He's triple
One pro.
A.
I'm still minor league. I'm still learning the ropes here. Jason, if you want to go ahead and start.
Oh, what was the question?
Focus. That's great. So just give us a little bit of your background and kind of, you know, how you got to be.
Yeah. So like my mom's side of the family, they all have, I call her uncles and stuff, are backyard butchers. You know, they've got just for their own stuff. You know, it's
A tractor and a chain hoist.
Yeah. I mean, we've kind of done that for our own families for as far as I can remember back. And, you know, there's been, I kind of just started off as a hobby, and I just really enjoyed learning how to, you know, cure bacon and cure hams and stuff like that, making different sausage recipes and stuff. So it just kind of grew into good at it, might as well get paid to do it kind of thing.
So how long have you been doing it?
Professionally or employeeily.
Huh? Well, I mean, you work for.
I'd say a good 10 years.
Yes.
On the books, and then.
And how long have you guys had Peabody Sausage House?
A little over a year. About a year and a half.
Yeah, about 14 months.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, you want to give us a little bit of your background and then how you guys ended up as partners in this deal.
Oh, man. So Jason and I grew up in Peabody, Kansas together. I think we met in preschool. Mrs. Arnett, I don't know if she's on here. Maybe she'll jump on here.
Tell us stories.
Who knows? And then, so we grew up in Peabody, and I joined the military right out of high school, and he kind of went off and did. What did you do?
Just some stuff.
Yeah.
You know,
we always kept in touch.
I did a little bit of college. I did a little bit of farming, ranching. Started a honky tonk band.
Yeah, Jason's a great musician. Well, that's probably a different Facebook Live, but so you guys were part, but knew each other obviously all those years, and you came back from the military when?
I've always kind of been around, but I got out in 2014, 2015.
Thanks for your service.
Thanks, man. Appreciate it. Yeah, and then. You know, I work for an oil company called Holly Frontier, and, you know, this guy kind of reached out to me. We started talking, 2 years ago, about kind of going on a little adventure and starting our own deal.
He messaged me, and, you know, he knew I did a lot of, you know, backyard butchering and stuff. And he had a buddy that was selling all of his stuff. And he said, man, you can make things a lot easier. And I said, well, I think I'm going to try to bring some of this more into the light, you know, and make it to where thinking about buying a butcher shop. And then, so
you guys got together.
Yeah.
You went back to your hometown about an hour or so outside of Wichita.
Yep.
And bought the butcher shop there.
Yeah.
You're doing a big retail business. I was up there on a Saturday once, and you're like, you better get here early because I think they were sold out of that famous sausage by 10.
Yeah, there's a line out the door, I believe, that first day.
I tell you what, if you are close to Wichita or whatever and want a great Saturday morning trip to go get some unbelievable beef or sausage, it's a fun trip out there.
Yeah, it really is. It's a beautiful town, too.
Neat little downtown. Yeah, absolutely.
So, yeah, it's not only us there. There's others. You know, I like to give a shout out to the downtown of Peabody.
And the Coneberg.
And the Coneberg.
Pub.
Yeah.
Pub and eatery, if I do believe that's the
all the small towns are like that. It's awesome.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, guys, feel free to ask questions tonight as we're going through it. We'll be taking some of those as we go. I think we're getting a couple here now. This is great. Actually, we were going to talk about this. So if you'd write down the names of the people that are doing them also. But there's a question here that's, should we wash out the cavity after harvest? So I've heard a little bit of the eventful things that happens there. I guess this was from Dan Williams. Thank you. Maybe you guys could talk a little bit about what makes it the most efficient when you get it, makes it the safest, and make sure a hunter gets his meat back in the best condition.
So the thing I would recommend, and there are a couple places. I kind of thought, I didn't know how this podcast was going to go. If we were just going to get drunk and talk shit on all the other butcher shops.
Rival butcher shops.
We're drinking water.
We'll go water. Thank you.
But no, the thing that I would, if you're taking your deer to a butcher shop to have processed for you, yes, I would definitely wash out the cavity. If you have something nice to wash it out with, but don't pull it out of a septic tank and try to rinse it out or nothing. I mean,
or wash it out with creek water when it really should be fresh,
clean
clean water.
Use something. You don't want to introduce more shit than you're taking out of it. So
and ship, you mean bacteria?
Bacteria, yes.
Got it. Okay.
Or literal shit. But which brings me to the other thing is, like, it seems like 2/3 of the people leave that little between the butthole and the rectum and the last 6 inches of that, and that, I think that really needs to come out before it ever gets into our facility, because that's
it's carrying all that bacteria in there.
That's one of the dirtiest parts of the animal right there, right in between the two biggest parts of meat you have. And people think that the cavity is, we see a lot of people that throw a bag of ice in the cavity to cool off the ribs, which is an inch thick, when they ought to be putting that ice between the legs to cool off that big round on each side, it's things like that. But yeah, definitely.
I think you said it best. We were talking earlier tonight, and it's unbelievable. Somebody would go out and buy a $2,000 gun and $200 binoculars and all this stuff and $500 worth of clothes, but they won't buy a bone saw.
Yeah, they won't buy a $20
so you can
bone saw.
split the pelvis and make sure that's done easily right.
Yeah.
Rib cage and open it up.
And if you do it for a living, you can probably break that bone open with a knife. But I don't expect anyone to learn that in the first time they ever field dress.
Some of us aren't as big as you are.
Just
Right.
use your elbow if you have to.
It's the camera gives him, makes him look bigger.
Yeah, but
He's flexing.
now I'm trying to push up like on my.
Yeah, you look good, buddy.
Do I look tougher now?
Yeah.
But yeah, there's a lot of.
So clean out the cavity. Talk to me a little bit about like temperature, because right now, hunting season started in Kansas this week, and it's 90 degrees out there today.
Right.
If somebody shoots a deer tonight, what should they do? And if they find a deer tomorrow morning, is it okay? Or is there a rule of thumb?
I would say, I don't know if I can legally say yes, but I wouldn't say no. I mean, I think there's so many.
The butcher can tell whether meat's still good or.
Yeah, I mean, let your nose be your guide, and deer stink. I mean, some of them, and did you gut shoot this? Did it run? Did it have a fever before you shot it? There's a lot of questions that you can't really. Every place is different. One thing I was going to touch on, but I got a little sidetracked, is you should take your deer to a processing plant that is going to give you backyard deer, because I think
that's a great point.
I think that definitely prompts you to take a little. You get what you put in, as Kid Rock would say. People get what they deserve.
Mm-hmm. So at all the facilities, you can request your own meat back if they're not doing that.
I'm not sure. I know that it's not even a request. It's what happens at our place.
Yeah.
You definitely get yours back because because if you pass on a big buck to get a young button buck because you want the meat to be better, you're going to get, and somebody else shoots some big old buck or something, for the rack, and then they get your good meat and you get their, it's just not fair. It's, or if you gut shot yours and let it sit in the back of your pickup truck for 2 days and then
end up with somebody else's stuff,
and then you end up with
Drive around town, show off all your buddies.
So what's the rule of thumb for, hey, I'm going to shoot my deer and let it hang, as far as evening temperature and daytime temperatures? What's safe in there? Because lots of guys would like to let it hang for a couple days or whatever to mellow it out, or just what's the?
I wouldn't wait. In any time it's dark, if you can throw a bag of ice, like I said, throw a bag of ice between the legs, back legs. Dump a bag of ice in the cavity, but that's more to try to cool off the arms. Spray it down with cold water, keep it in the dark. Now, if you shoot it in the morning and you leave it in the sun all day, that's going to do more damage than letting it sit overnight. And if it's warm, I mean, in the actual world of inspection and stuff, I think 50 degrees is what the cutoff is. But that's not a problem. And as for letting it hang in your facility before you bring it to us, that's just stacking the deck against us, because it might take us a few days to even get to it. So if you let it age for a week at your house and then it takes us a week and a half to get to it, then you're pushing a lot of time. And in a perfect world where we can dry age or just age, we're skinning our beef in an inspected facility where all the elements are right. We're putting them in the cooler at the right time. I don't think you want to gamble with those factors when you have a field dress.
So what you're saying is there's more risk to wait and let it hang for a couple days or something, when depending on temperature or anything as far as that goes, when you guys are kind of doing that process anyway.
And I think you really need a good fat cover to age on a beef. The better the fat cover, the better. So depending on the time of year, it seems like right now these deer have good fat on them, but
so from and I know you're kind of running more the front end of stuff, like, so is it different state to state? Can you sell, if somebody goes, hey, keep this, you can sell it in Kansas? Can you do that?
We can't. No.
You can't.
Mm-mm.
And can you do it in other states?
I don't know the laws.
Could I walk in and say, hey, I want a deer fillet or backstrap?
So we could process a deer, but it'd have to be a farm raised.
So you could go out and buy a farm raised deer,
Right.
bring it in and do it.
yes,
But
we can.
and it's probably like that in all the states.
I'm assuming it's pretty similar to that.
And then tell me what it looks like. So when somebody comes in, or they're dropping a deer off in the middle of the night, what information do you want? What do you leave them a menu of, these are your 3 options for how you want the back straps, the tenderloins, we're grinding everything, we're making jerky, we're making sausage. Tell me what that looks like from kind of a drop off to make it the most efficient for the butcher or the best.
Well, I guess I really don't know where to go on this, but I mean, we kind of offer everything. Even our sausage products, we can make deer sausage as well.
Mm-hmm.
I did see somebody asking about the fat, what kind of fat we use.
Jimmy Parrish he's like, so what kind of fat substitute do you use, and what can you use if he's processing his own deer and can't find beef fat in the store?
I recommend
pork.
Yeah,
fat.
Get a pork butt.
You can get fresh side, which is a very fatty pork. You can get a very fatty hamburger and mix in with it. One thing you want to make sure you just kind of keep in mind, and there's a time and a place for rules, and I think salmonella makes chicken taste a little better. But I'm just joking. But don't die and then blame me for that. But
That's all we need is a lawsuit.
You know, so people think according to the rules, you can eat rare deer meat and you can eat rare beef, but you can't eat rare pork. So if you add pork fat, you need to follow the pork fat rules.
Oh, that's a good point. That's a really good point.
So the idea behind adding beef fat is you can still eat a rare hamburger and it's not gonna hurt as bad as but I mean
so if somebody is doing their own, I mean, you guys make unbelievable sausage. I'm so lucky to be friends of theirs because I'm like, hey, you guys want to come barbecue for the summer, night and hang around the pool? And they bring all this food over. In fact, tonight we're going to have these unbelievable bacon wrap fillets they brought over. So thank you. I'm looking forward to that. But tell me a little bit, if somebody wants to make their own sausage, summer sausage, or just breakfast sausage or jerky, where should they go to find those spices that isn't Cabela's? You know what I mean? Like a wide variety.
If you're local, well, you can even do it online, but we use Walton's. Walton's is a really good company to use.
They're one of the top 5 in the country, aren't they?
Yeah.
For providing the small deer processors.
They're pretty large, and we've had
So it's Walton's. What's the full name?
It's just Walton's.
Walton's.
Everything but the meat.
Yeah.
So we bring the meat, and they bring everything else.
So Walton's has a whole line of stuff you can order online. Is that what you guys use?
Yeah, we'll get on there and order some of that. We also have some of our own spices that we make.
Now, I will say, and I know this is reaching out past Kansas, and I don't know where name brands stop, but
I think they're nationwide.
Walton's is nationwide.
Yeah.
But I don't think they have showrooms in every.
No.
So
I think they sell straight to butcher shops, or you can order it online.
Right. So people in Wichita, Kansas, or close by are lucky enough to be able to walk into their showroom.
And it's a fantastic showroom floor. So if you haven't been there, go.
But man, you can go to Orscheln's or Atwood's or Tractor Supply. Every one of those little farm stores has a little back nestled in the corner, kind of by the guns. If there's a place that they'll usually have a couple cast iron skillets and a couple jerky making kits and stuff, and then it's good. And then I'm talking for people who are just getting started and stuff.
Yeah.
After you do that a couple times, you'll probably stumble
change
onto buying
the
a
recipe,
book or get on the internet and find a recipe you like, and you'll start talking with other people that have a common interest, and you'll start altering things, and then you're not necessarily buying kits, you're buying ingredients, and you can buy that at Walmart, or the majority of that type of stuff at Walmart, or a lot of some of the best sausage and jerky recipes are nothing more than 4 or 5 ingredients from Walmart. So that's
secret ingredients Walmart won't tell us about.
I would tell you about. But Walmart.
Man, the questions are piling in here.
They are.
We've got a whole list.
I don't know how in cahoots the Clintons still are with Walmart. So I got.
We don't want to get into conspiracy theories with you guys tonight. We can get deep
I don't want to
into
spill a
this
recipe and then end up suiciding myself.
I want to get through because we're about 20 minutes in. I want to keep this another 15, but we have a ton of questions here. So here, Steve Vandermark says, does putting ice in the cavity draw bacteria? Is that true?
I think he already hit that a little bit.
I mean, I kind of touched on that, but
you think it cools down to inhibit it?
Well, I believe you kind of have a business that deals in bacteria. You would know that bacteria grows a lot better in 100 degrees than it does in 40 degrees. So, so as long as your ice is clean when you put it in there, it's good. I would say.
Here's an interesting little fact, and we never talk about this, but our ozone machines that have the tube to them, the first and second generation ones, not the Halo series, if you take that tube and you put it in a 5-gallon bucket of water and put ozone in there and wash out the cavity, it has been proven to kill bacteria that sits in that deer cavity.
Nice.
Wow.
Do you guys use ozone in your processing facility?
We use it in our shop.
Yeah, we do. Yep.
To kill the bacteria and the smell?
Yep.
Yeah.
It's fantastic. I know that there's other plants. I've talked about you with other plants. I know Dylan up in Kensington. He's trying to get some of your
Get some stuff too.
Get some stuff.
Anyway,
I
I didn't want to make this a commercial, but I thought we were talking about bacteria in the cavity, and I was like, Well, that's another way to help clean it up.
Yeah.
We know it kills stuff.
That's
What
pretty
else,
crazy.
what else do we have here? Pricing first and standard processing fee. Does the size of the deer matter? From Mark Coleman.
Each facility is going to be different within a few bucks, but we process by the carcass, whether it's a button buck or a world record, and it's $125. That's anything you can. We almost prefer that you don't skin it, because
Correct.
Because more bacteria gets on.
Well, and
than
we've taken,
hide.
sometimes it takes longer to undo what somebody did wrong. So, sometimes it takes 30 minutes to clean up a deer if they're not skinned right. I can skin them a lot faster than that. So, so that's kind of but we'll skin it, we'll bone it out, we'll cut all the steaks, and roast what you want. Anything we can do with a knife or a grinder, is $125. And then if you want, when you start getting cooked products and sausages and adding ingredients and stuff, the price climbs. But
yeah, I think when I was younger and I loved the beef jerky so much, I just brought it in and said, make the whole thing beef jerky, and it was some ridiculous fee versus,
Oh, I'm sure it was, yeah.
it's just,
we personally don't make the jerky just because a lot of hunters haven't had that knowledge of how much weight you really lose once you dehydrate an animal. So more times than not, we get I didn't realize it would be that much, and I didn't realize it would, and it's just so time consuming. We'd still be.
Our
Well,
smoker would be running 24/7.
yeah. And there's a lot of great Facebook groups. I belong to one called The Plated Harvest. That's awesome. You go
I'm in there too.
I am.
Yeah.
I'm on that one.
You on that,
Yeah.
and it's great. They're talking about a million different recipes from everything from deer and elk to shrimp and lobster and fish tacos to, okay, how do we make sausages? So there's a lot of resources for guys to figure out how to make their own, some of that stuff from what you guys after you cut out the roast and let them, it's kind of fun doing. You sit around with some friends and you watch some football games and have a couple beers and make sausage Anyway, what else we have here?
Oh, we have a lot.
We have a lot. Well, I know there's like 50 of them
I
here.
know.
Are you removing the tendons or do you throw it in? It feels like wasting time by breaking it all down.
I think they're talking about the deboning process.
Yeah.
No, we don't throw tendons in there.
That's a two-part question.
Yeah. And then how much do you clean the grind pile, Chris Washko?
So,
And I'm not sure what he's got cleaning.
It's the same question.
Is it?
It's all just.
Feels like it's wasting it to break it all down. And how much do you clean the grind pile?
Like our trim. I'm assuming he's talking about the trim
Yeah.
off the deer. We always wash that when we before we even put it in our coolers. We'll clean it.
so
really well.
we try to cut off everything that's.
Dirty.
We will trim off it, and there's 5 things. If there's any, and this is just standard practice amongst all species, and we just adopt this into deer season from our inspected kills. But it's if there's any milk that gets trimmed off, if there's any abscess, fecal matter, ingest, or hair, or I forget the actual 5th one, but if it's not something I put in my mouth, I'm not going to put it in your hamburger. So,
Yeah, that's a good point. Right. So
Yeah.
you're, as long as you're keeping the bacteria out of it, and then whatever the kill shot looks like. I mean, those are the 2 first places you trim, right?
yeah, we
For it.
and while this is fresh on my mind, if you bow hunt and you do not get your broadhead out of the deer, please tell your butcher.
That's
dropping that off because
It's dangerous.
We got
Yeah,
we saved them. And I think we had quite a bit last year.
we had a whole quart jar just full of broadheads.
That is a great
Yeah.
point.
They're like little cereal boxes with just a surprise in there. If you reach your hand in there,
Oh,
you get the toy.
yeah.
So, just good to know. I mean, yeah, even the cereal.
Yeah, I
box
want to
is-
say
there's a toy
sorry
inside.
if I did that to you
So-
before. Now that I think about it.
No, and we as butchers should just assume that everyone has a broadhead. And even in rifle season, we pull them out because they're.
I just sticking it down.
Mark Coleman, the favorite knives you use and why you use that brand.
A sharp one.
Sharp, yeah. The
Victor
most
Knox,
dangerous
yeah.
knife is the one that's not sharp, isn't it? Yeah.
Oh, absolutely.
Victor Knox,
Knox,
there's
Victor
like
Knox.
a 6-inch stiff boning knife, and then and then a 6-inch semi-flex knife is what the best two things to use. And
Yeah.
they're pretty self-explanatory. One will kind of flex when you're trying to get around those
Blade,
bones that
shoulder
curve.
blade.
And
You know, in my earlier years of deer hunting, I was famous for having a knife on me all the time, because you should, right?
Right.
But that knife also cut the cord and the rope and everything. And then I'd finally kill a deer that year, and I'd go out of my backpack. I'm like, boy, that thing is dull as can be. So I'm smarter about that now.
Right.
I don't use that same knife.
Treat your knives
but-
like a part of your tool. I mean,
Yeah.
just like a weapon. I mean, keep it clean, ready to go. Always, you never know when you're going to need it.
Absolutely. Let me read that one. What do you recommend for sanitizing and storing your cleaning supplies, Jimmy Parrish?
Oh, let him hit that one.
just let someone else do it. No. So just soap and water to clean. If you actually want to sanitize, just a diluted bleach water or something. If it's not stainless steel, I highly recommend a good oil or something. And you can sanitize right before you use your knife. It doesn't have to be sanitized in January, and then when you pull it out in November,
Keep it in
You're
a
gonna
clean,
need to-
dry place,
you're gonna need
right?
to
There's
re-sanitize
no
it anyway.
humidity and
yeah,
Yeah.
it's not a bad idea. Just like Jeremy said with your weapons, just pull that stuff out, make sure it looks good, and get a good. We just used a food grade mineral oil that we spray on our saw blades and stuff to keep them shiny. And anything you do in the field is probably not going to be ideally sanitary, but the closest you can get is even on our kill floor. Like, you can tell every cut we've made with the kill floor knife versus the up front, because it's after that cut's been made, and then
just a
14
rougher
days,
cut. Yeah.
10 to 14 days later when we trim it off, it's
Oh, that's interesting.
you can
Yeah.
tell what we usually trim that little cut part off and throw it
Yeah,
away.
start over.
So
This is a great question. Steve Murray was asking, and we talked about this a little bit earlier, but if you let a deer lay when it's warm out due to a marginal shot, because you don't want to go chase it and get it run around, what is the temp where you know the meat is no longer good?
that's a case by case scenario because it's like today we're still getting into 90s.
Yeah, it's 90, so it'll be 65 tonight, but it's not going to be 65 till 4 a.m. I mean, is it okay to kill a deer tonight and let it
But
lay?
in July it might have only got to 90, but it stayed 90 till 1 in the morning.
Yeah.
So it's hard to say. It's
Can you always take that deer to your butcher, and will they have an opinion on it for you then?
yeah, I always have an opinion. Most people don't want to hear it half the time.
No, I know. You're pretty outspoken.
Especially
right?
Jake.
But,
Yeah, our inspector. Yeah.
but the deal is that you don't.
Because
Yeah, I mean-
everybody hates to find a deer
There is a
and
fine
then not
line.
be able to enjoy the fruits of your labor and the respect of the deer that you just took.
Right, and if we open a deer up and it's green, we'll
They'll tell.
we'll
Yeah.
call you. Hey,
Yeah.
you
Oh, I think that's a great advice. You know
Yeah.
what? It shouldn't be your call necessarily. It should be your butcher. So take it in.
well, it's
Yeah,
ultimately
let
going to be
them
your
see it.
call. I mean, but we're not liable for
But the butcher
I mean, I
has
guess
seen
there is times
hundreds, thousands of deer. He might be able to just
There are.
have a much larger knowledge base about.
There's that big
what
there's
they
that
believe.
big gray area where I would call and I'd say, hey, I wouldn't recommend this.
Yeah.
They
So
I think
well,
we
they
have
call me a
one.
puss and grind it anyway. Okay.
so last year I shot a deer when it was warm, and we couldn't find it, and we backed out, and we found it in a river. So it was cool in that river, but was there so much bacteria that ran in there to it?
I don't- I don't think. I mean, I'm not a river expert, but I don't think the river is. Depends on the river, I guess. But if you found that sumbitch in Cheney Lake, I'd probably just leave it in Cheney Lake. But if you found it,
I mean, it was a standard river that, is in farmland, kind of stuff, Winfield, Kansas. And
yeah, and so you're you're fine because it hasn't been skinned yet. You know,
Yeah.
it's still got its clothes on.
But the cavities have been swollen up, and stuff. But since they haven't been punctured in the rest of the meat,
Right. And
well, I
where
got
was it
shot.
shot?
I got
So
shot.
gut
That one,
shot
which is
is
why it wasn't.
Is there something could
Same
probably
thing.
be
Take it to the
salvaged?
butcher's.
And,
Right.
There. It depends on, and some people, which I don't believe this is the right thing to do, but I know of people who have shot deer and they miss, they shoot them through the back legs or something.
Yeah.
And they're like, well, most of the meat's ruined anyway, so I'm just gonna.
Well, that's not true because you take the whole front side
Right,
of it.
but they think, well, I'm just gonna let this one lay and go find another one. Like shoot better or something. Or if they, I've heard of people didn't want to gut them because they gut shot them, and so they let them lay. And
that's
that's
just unethical.
and that's unethical.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
I mean, there are some people, on the other hand, would want to, like I don't. The way things rot, you can trim away
A lot of it.
and stuff. It's not like a timer that goes off and boom, the whole deer's bad. You have to start cutting deeper to get to better meat. So it is a sliding scale, but the more it's
and on my deal, it was a little embarrassing because I'm pretty sure I was stripped all the way down to my underwear in my boots, wading in there
That was
with my
insane.
hat on. And you got to have buddies that won't take pictures and send them all over the internet. That deal.
That's no joke.
Let's see. From Jason Hurt, good guy. Should you wash out the cavity after the harvest? And can you show me where the actual cuts come from on a deer? So once you talk about washing out the cavity, we might have touched on that a little bit already, but I'll share the screen and maybe you can, people can see it here while we're doing that.
While you're doing that, let's talk. If you just reach on your own back, you can feel your own backbone.
Mhm.
And then there's a big round chunk of muscle on each side of that backbone, and those are your back straps. And
Oh,
so
cool.
you see that white line.
Well, hold on one sec here. I haven't shared it yet, so
Okay.
I get to the
Oh, so they're
right
looking at me,
here.
looking at
Yeah, they're still looking at you. So we do share here.
Everything's backwards because I try to get off.
It's throwing me off too.
Yeah, hold on one sec. We got a little technical difficulty here, people. Hold with us. Let's see if we can try this again one more time. Share screen,
Your beard looks
share
good,
entire.
by the way.
Thank you.
You guys are like
you?
in love with
Yeah.
each other's beards.
It's
It's a
got
little
pheromones
weird.
in it, so you can't smell that through the deal. That's why I try to stay away from the snake crusher because I don't want the ladies to smell the pheromones.
Oh
That's what I
my
told-
gosh. It's getting tough in here, people.
What's
All
the
right.
female version of a barber? Barber red.
Oh my God.
I think they call them barbers, don't
Okay,
they?
so let's see. Can you see that?
Yes.
Do you see?
You're on.
Does the world see it? Okay. All right. So we've got this. Can you see where where we're pointing here with the cursor?
Oh, no, it's black.
Well, we're allowed to curse.
Hold on one sec. Let's try this one more time. Share screen.
Like
Just take your shirt off, Dan. I'll show them on you.
Yeah.
We can have Nicole dress up as a deer.
We have this little guy in here.
Oh, yeah.
I'm willing.
Well,
Yeah,
that's
you're thinking different things. We're trying to be
You know what?
educational
That's
here.
not actually okay. Now do you see it on the screen here?
Now you're
You'll
back to full
you'll
screen.
see it in about 10 seconds.
I
I
bet.
We're
think you.
behind. Yes,
So, all right. So here on the right, we've got
Or left,
the parts
depending on
or
the
left.
flavors.
So let's talk a little bit about the parts of the deer. So when we typically talk about the roast of a deer, maybe you want to go through the parts because you're probably way more familiar. But
So
and can you see the cursor moving on the screen?
He could probably call
In 10
out like
seconds.
E.
Yeah, go
or-
ahead and call out E. Yeah.
okay, so E. So okay, right above, you can kind of see this hip bone right here, and in about 10 seconds.
On E. Yeah.
And so this all up here is the round. This is where you get your roasts. On the front side of that round is what's called your sirloin tip on a beef, but it's just a chunk of deer is what I call it, you know, and on the backside, it would be your round. You have your inside, your outside, and your eye. And we usually just package that up. If they want a smaller roast, we'll cut it in half, give them two. But
So if somebody wants to make jerky, does it come out of those roasts then?
I would say yes.
Typically.
And if they want
Because they're a little tougher
jerky,
cut.
if they want jerky, it's kind of a different. You want to pull that muscle off whole from the leg instead of actually cutting a square roast. Does that make sense?
So when you, as a butcher, when you provide it to the person you're cutting, you're not separating that muscle. You're giving it to them, or are you separating it into smaller pieces?
Well, and so last year I think it's just
because if
gonna
somebody
be-
wants to go make their own jerky or do something else with it,
right,
do
so
they need to request something special from?
So last year we said that we would slice the jerky meat for them, but we weren't going to season it or cook it for them. But then, so I don't know.
That's an interesting request you could make.
So I don't know if we're going to go that far this year, just because it is kind of time consuming, and some people want thicker and some want thinner, and
Yep.
it's just that.
So talk about the other pieces here.
So normally, normally things go right.
Man.
A and C off this little cut up deal.
Yeah.
Are probably going to have a massive hole in them because that's where you shoot them. So
In theory, depending on who's shooting.
sometimes D or F.
Yeah.
If you sneeze right before you shoot, or but so typically we don't make a lot of promises on like A would be the chuck.
Yeah.
On a beef. I don't know. There's nothing against it, but people just typically, especially around these parts, don't ask for any bone-in roasts or bone-in steaks.
Hey, that,
So Brian,
Oh,
are you leaving the bone in the roast? Perfect. Yeah.
it's
So
Cleo over
so
here.
you're typically not doing that.
We're typically people normally don't like it or don't want it. I mean, it's not against the rules. Every now and then, people want the bones to make bone broth, deer bone broth or something, and it's perfectly fine. I won't even call you weird, but it's just not common. Most people think, and I don't know how true this is, but they're just married to old theories that it's the bones and the fat that make deer taste so gamey. So if you can eliminate those, you get just an actual.
Has a lot to do with the very beginning, how you process the deer, how it's done,
and I think
and then how you prepare it.
Yeah, and I think there was actually a study that if you can boil all the blood and the fat out of meat, it's tasteless. So I could sell you that it's goat, turkey, chicken, beef. If I can boil it down enough to nothing, but it's still that chunk of meat there. But
so in DN, so we've got the ribs there and DNF and C, and Robin Egbert here asked, do you get requests for deer ribs very often?
I think we had like one last year.
One out of 100.
Yeah,
So,
but you trim that meat off and it becomes ground general.
Mhm.
and
generally.
I saved one off my own just because I could, and I ate them and they were great. And so
You kept them moist enough.
I think,
Yeah.
and I think that's something that's going to start trending a little more. But if I could see in the future, and obviously I can because I answered that question before I forgot it, but I think more people are going to start.
I don't bring them out in public, man.
I don't know if I'm chicken and egging this thing, but now that I'm saying it, people are going to want it. But I think ribs are going to be more popular. But that's another thing. Like if you shoot something up here, then the way that blood travels is there's going to be a thick blood clot in between that good chunk of meat on top of the ribs.
Yeah.
It goes all the way to the ass. I mean, sometimes that blood clot gets in between those muscles and you can't package.
You cut that out.
You have to
Yeah.
trim that off. So,
Yeah.
so it's a roll of the dice. If you really want ribs, I'd start aiming for the neck.
So let's talk about some of the other pieces here, and other cuts that you're dealing with here on
There,
DDCAFB.
Okay. You didn't say it in alphabetical order, so it messed with me a little bit. Really, I don't see many people wanting like deer soup bones once again. So that's or a deer shank, which would be B.
Be there. Yeah.
And A, once again, is your chuck, or what in the beef world they call it a chuck roast or a 7-bone roast, and that's that shoulder blade is what you're.
Is there a brisket in a deer too?
There is, but it's the size of my hand. I mean,
Small.
it's it wouldn't be much. There's a flat iron steak on a deer, but it's so small that it's just whatever. But the most of that's just going to be burger, and once again, once 3/4 of them have a bullet hole through them or an arrow hole, so it's not. It's tough, and it's tough as a butcher because people think that they shot this deer on the right side and it only went so far, and then but like I explained, that blood clot travels.
Yeah.
And they don't realize that their neighbor shot the same deer last year and they're still a broadhead in the
Right,
left
so
shoulder.
many.
So, and then they get into the no, I didn't shoot that with an arrow. That's not my deer. You know, and the deer are some of the fastest healing animals in the world.
It's amazing how tough they are. I
Yeah.
bet you guys find multiple broadheads or wounds.
Yeah, or
I think last year we found a couple of that like that.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I shot him. The
Yeah, was
the
that
big
you?
one was mine.
Yeah. We had a pretty nice one already this year that somebody brought in.
Here, here's a good question. Jimmy Parrish asked a lot of great questions tonight. Do you prefer? Actually, that's it. Deboned or not? I think we asked that one. Here's Mark Coleman. Do you sell leftover bones cut up as dog treats?
We sell beef bones.
You sell beef
Yeah.
bones as dog treats, but
Mhm.
We sell beef bones as beef bones legally.
Yeah.
But you can't sell deer bones
We can't.
because they're
I
not.
Because
They-
once again, it's not an inspected product, and it wasn't an inspected kill. I know that
If
sometimes
somebody asked for their bones back
Absolutely.
with the
Yep.
femur cut in 4 pieces, you could do that.
we could do that, or you know, some
That's a
people.
great- That's a great idea.
Now, there once again, there's such gray areas. I know that one facility I used to work for. It seems like somebody. I don't know if the owner sold them or if they gave them away or donated them or what. But there was a guy making like knives and hunting racks and shit out of the forearm.
Huh.
So
What do you do with all, I'll call it the waste, but I know there's not much waste at all. But so what happens to all, I know you guys kill a bunch of,
we can sell hides.
pigs and beef. So what happens to all those bones that you call, right? Is there somebody around the country that buys the
Yeah.
bones to do it? So you just ship it off to some central warehouse?
No, we
and
pay
stuff, or-
somebody to come get them.
we pay
we have
somebody-
to pay
you
a company.
somebody
Yeah.
to come salvage the bones, and then it's
They
kind of
buy
like my
it from doctors.
recycling where
Yeah.
I'm saving tin cans for somebody else to make money
Yeah.
on, but I got to pay them to come.
Yeah,
get it.
Yeah, exactly like that.
I always relate it to somebody comes and cuts your trees down, and then they charge you to take your limbs away, and then they sell you the mulch.
Firewood, then
Yeah.
mulch back out.
That's exactly what it is.
Yeah.
And that actually skyrocketed this last year too.
So I will and we're about 45 minutes in. I think we've got one more question, but you guys, I will just say as a hunter, how good it felt in the past year to know I've got a couple of deer in the freezer and it doesn't matter what happens at the grocery store. So, so being able to either harvest and process your own stuff or take it to a local place you trust and have them do it, but to have that meat, boy, I think we all realize now that
Oh, absolutely.
it matters.
It's important, yeah, and with the right recipes and stuff, you can trick even the most anti-deer person into loving it.
I think we've got, especially now the world's kind of, even the ones we may not agree with think they should be eating organic and healthy. So if we could take an opportunity to make a meal for somebody, and show them, hey, wow, this was really good. Maybe I could introduce you to hunting and the wild, and you'd understand it is for me.
Absolutely.
And they could see our version of the world sometimes help. So, All right, let's do one more question. Are you open 24/7 during the deer season?
No.
absolutely
No.
Huh? You
No.
guys, come on. There's
No.
2 of you. You can work 12-hour shifts. Huh?
Who is that, Mark?
Mark
You
Coleman.
need a job?
Mark, come on over. Mark, come on over. And
Yeah, you get
now
the night shift, bud.
It's tough to find extra help too now. I know
I'll
it
tell
is.
you that we are, we do, there have been nights where I just go up, I'll light the smokehouse and I'll do something until the smokehouse is done. And then I think, well, I'll start the next smokehouse batch, and then come to find out, then I see people walking in the door. I'm like, oh shit, but it's happened a couple of times, but
you don't.
yeah. I guarantee if somebody came in and tried to buy a steak, I'd probably throw a knife at them.
You leave your cooler open so somebody can tag it and shove a deer in there.
We did overnight. We did a late night drop off last year. I don't know if we're going to do that this year or not.
Because in a perfect world,
Jason hurt. We won't say that.
they can get people to,
Right. Yep, everything's there. Okay, I'm going to ask. There's a couple two more questions. Okay, this is a really good one because Steve Murray asked, can you stick a probe in a piece of meat and tell if it's still good? Is there some bacteria probe or something that you use?
Not that I know of.
No. Okay. I hadn't heard of that either, but
You let your nose be your guide.
yeah. Okay.
And your eyes, if it looks discolored.
Oh, this is the best one right here. As you may notice, I am a Peabody Sausage House aficionado now.
Jason Hurt asked that.
So my buddy Jason Hurt asked, where can we get a Peabody sausage shirt without having to go on air with these guys, and or a hat? Because I haven't gotten a hat yet either.
The hats are pretty slick.
Yeah.
I mean, it's hard to.
So where can we go to do that?
We don't really have a store yet. We are going to order new T-shirts or more T-shirts. So come up and buy a steak.
So
and
if
see
you're
us.
near Peabody, can they order them, or will they be able to soon online on your website?
We're working on that. I've found, and like with my band, I've always bought T-shirts and just hauled them to my shows and sold them outright. But I'm finding out now, me and the internet don't get along very well. So
That is true.
so I'm learning, but I'm learning some shit about, like, there's places that that'll take care of that.
Yeah,
They'll ship. So
okay.
once
So right now, if
Once I
we
woo one of those
want one,
people.
we need to come up there, and you're getting them in
Right.
Peabody.
And we don't want to carry a big stock on our hats right now, but I think we're going to do a pre-order of these. We'll just, take orders and.
We'll flood their page, tell them you want one so they can order some up. They're pretty sweet. You guys are awesome. Thank you for spending the better part of an hour with us tonight on a Sunday.
Yeah,
I mean,
long.
if this is as many questions as we've ever had. So thank you
yes,
very
thanks for
much.
having
Maybe
me.
we'll come back
this is
again.
awesome.
If you guys would like them to talk about some specific piece of it, maybe we could do it on another Sunday night and we can talk to us about making sausage and jerky or something like that.
I don't
and
know
maybe
how-
do a little demo or something.
That would
but-
be great.
Yeah.
I don't know how easy it is to get to Peabody Sausage House Facebook from here, or will there be a link somewhere to get to our page?
We will make sure we put one up. If not, you're on Facebook at Peabody Sausage House.
Yeah.
Is that right?
Yeah, feel free to message us. Just don't ask us the stupid questions like, what are your goods and services?
You are so political.
Or
Renee,
what's-
all the time,
what's-
right?
There's those stupid ass little we've already asked the question for you. All you can do is click the button.
Yeah.
Don't ask any of those questions.
All right. Just be reasonable. That's all we ask. Thank you guys for joining us tonight. Appreciate it.
Thank you. I'm nicer in person.
Thank you,
brother.
Jeremy.
Yeah.
It was great seeing everybody tonight. Kind of a special Sunday edition. Go enjoy the rest of your weekend. If Chiefs fan, go Chiefs. And we'll see you guys on Thursday night. So thank you. Peace out.